Hey. This is Dr. Kit welcoming you to the Shake Up. You know how we do it here every Monday. I tell you what, I take smoothie in this thing here. I take my smoothie in this sometimes. And if I let it sit too long, all the good stuff settled at the bottom here. So I gotta shake it and shake it and shake it. Sometimes I gotta turn it upside down this way and that way. Shake it so I get all the good stuff out of here, mixing it up. And that's what we're doing, mixing up all the good stuff that you've experienced this week. And we just want you to be a part of this shake up. So I just want to thank you for just being here with us this evening. Listen, we've got a good show for you now. We've got a great personality. And she's from a big town, bigger than Little Huntsville. But, we can handle some big town people. They think they got it going on, but hey, listen, we got our own stuff going on in Huntsville, and I'm going to show you what we got. Listen, see this T-shirt here? It says the fear of failure is the enemy of success. This is a T-shirt that you can start to get on my website, and we're having a 37 for 37. That means that you get a 37% off, okay, for a limited time. Oh, the fear of failure is the enemy of success. There's a lot of meat in that. The fear of failure. See, I got it on the wall behind me. See, I live, eat, and breathe that thing. The fear of failure is the enemy of success. Enough of that. We'll come back to that later in a little bit. Okay, so Shake Up 37% off, and that's a limited time offer only. Okay, so you can go on this. Use the code Shake Up 37. All right. Okay. Dr. K speaks at that.com/shop. Dr. K speaks /SHOP. All right, you got it. Okay, you're on the air with me now. Let me stop being crazy on here. And I got a great show for you. But I want you, before I bring this person on, like, follow, share, and subscribe. That is the backbone of this podcast and all podcasts, okay? So I'm just saying, like, follow, share all the podcasts you got out there. Actually, I'm not selfish. I want everybody's podcast to do great, but I also want you to tune in on mine too, okay? And just like, follow, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to, no, forget the if. We want you to become a part of this show. We want you to become a part of the show. So here's what you want to do. We want you to be considered for future shows. Just email drkitspeaks@gmail.com, and my team will surely get in touch with you and get you on the air. Now, you can be on camera, you can be off camera. And listen, we'd rather have you on camera, but the info is what's really important here, okay? So that's where we are with that, to be considered. All right, so enough of me. You get to see me every week. You're tired of me, so now I realize that this is the high season for people to travel, and they may have a difficult time, being on here live. But, you can always tune in. Okay, so do that. All right. So here we go. Got a great show, great personality, great person, great human being that I met earlier on this year when we were at a conference in the big Birmingham. All right. It was a men's mental health conference, and she was there. We had a great time talking with each other. And so at this time, put your hands together, and we got a drum roll. Oh, there she is.
I got a drum roll. I'm so excited. Like that. Hey, listen, I don't get that very often, so I will take it. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Oh, listen, welcome. Listen, I am just amazed that you'd want to come on my humble little show.
Are you kidding me? Listen, as I said to you when I met you and your beautiful wife, and when you did that analogy, and it's about those beans. Listen, you had me. I was just just glued to my seat. I was getting so many gems, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to speak with him again. I have to have the opportunity to just chat with him. Or if not, I'm just going to have to pay the money and just be a patient because I got to have a conversation. I'm just going to pay the
Oh,
money and I'm just going to sign up because I need to speak with him again because I need to get some of those gems so that I can make sure that I pass it along. So that's
oh,
there you go. So thank you for having me. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
and isn't that where we're at? I love. This is the year of the Olympics. I love Olympics.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I love the track and field. Why, because they have this thing they call a relay.
Yes.
And one runner does not run the whole circle unless they're doing the 4x1, the four
Right.
by four.
Right.
But it's the baton.
Oh yeah.
The baton. And in your business and my business, the baton is the message that we have. And we want to
100%.
pass this message on to somebody, right?
Yes, you do. And you got to pass it accurately because if you drop that baton, that's a
Oh,
problem in that race. So you got to make sure that you pass it with fidelity
yes.
to make sure that that message gets out there. So,
Exactly.
like I said, whether it's one or two, I just hope somebody will receive the message. And like I said, we just can't thank you enough for everything that you do because you definitely, like I said, you drop gems that are relatable, that are relevant for all ages. So for that, thank you,
I
and
love,
just keep up the good work, sir.
listen, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for your kind words and welcome, welcome, welcome. Listen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? See, I like people to introduce themselves and tell us about your background, what you do,
Okay.
how you got to where you got to here, and then tell us what you want to talk about tonight.
Easy. As a language arts major, I am happy to talk all the time. I'm a journalism. My name is
Yeah.
Kecia McAlpine. I am a 31-year veteran educator.
Ooh.
I am the mother
Now,
of,
Keisha, hold on.
yeah,
I gotta stop
yes, sir.
you. Keisha,
Yes, sir.
you have not been educating for 31 years.
Yes, I have. I
No,
was
you have
2
not.
when I
You
started. I was 2.
okay? I got you. Got you.
I was a child prodigy, but
Okay,
yes,
got you.
31 years in education, in 2 weeks, and I am happy to say in 2 weeks, with God's grace, hopefully I will be commencing, my 53rd birthday. So, yes. So I am
No,
yes.
no.
Yes, sir.
Are you
So I don't
serious?
yes, I have no problem telling people because there are a lot of people that didn't get to that age. So I
Yeah.
am happy and grateful to say, with His grace, I hopefully will see 53 2 weeks from today.
Listen, we're gonna pray you through that. Okay.
At what you say. Now,
Listen, no weapons. We're
I
gonna get all the
receive it.
weapons out the way.
I
Formed against
receive
you.
it.
You'll prosper.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I like I said, 31 years in education. Um,
Mm.
Most recently been doing a lot of content creating. I have taught language arts, broadcasting, SAT prep, ACT prep, you name it.
Wow.
And I again I also am, my son is a rising junior at Morehouse College,
All
and I
right.
have been privileged for the past couple of years to work with the Morehouse College Parent Council, and I am the chair elect for the council for 24 through 26. So I'm busy.
Congratulations. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm busy and I'm happy to be busy. And I would be remiss as far as what this conversation about today. This conversation comes through tragedy. Okay. But we can learn a lot through those things. And I think that I have become the best version of myself, unfortunately, as a result of something that happened. Can't talk about prostate or prostate cancer or anything I want to discuss today without mentioning my late fiance.
Okay.
And
Right.
his name was Terry Johnson II. And we knew each other from college. We didn't date in college, but we were friends in college. He was
Mm.
a little older than I was. And he graduated in 91. I graduated in 93 from Talladega College, HBCU, Alabama.
Okay.
And
Oh,
we ended up not seeing each other after college for years. I did not run into him again until 2005 when I came home for my grandmother's funeral. And he worked at the airport, ran into each other, said hello, didn't see each other again for another 12 years. 12
Man.
years. When I left Talladega, I went to, as LeBron say, I took my talents to South Florida. I was a teacher in South Florida for 24 years, and then I moved back to Alabama in 2017. We ran into each other again in 2017, and like, hey, good to see you. Again, nothing. We didn't see each other for 3 years. So let me just say, Birmingham is the big city because we were in the same city and did not run into each other again until 3 years later.
Mm.
Um, Fast forward is October 2020. We went out on a date, had a great time, and December of 2021, we got engaged.
All right.
And then unfortunately, August of 2022, we lost him to prostate cancer.
Okay.
So I am here today to definitely challenge, encourage Black men in the sound of my voice to get screening. Early detection could definitely help a lot of our men, and it can save a lot of lives. And we not only need our men, of course, to get the screening, we need the people who love them to make sure that you are encouraging them to get screened for prostate cancer. The numbers don't lie. They just don't. 1 in 6 Black men
Right.
will have prostate cancer.
Now, did you say will?
Will,
Not maybe, not
not
could.
maybe. 1 in 6 will have prostate cancer.
So,
And
so in other words, you line if you line up, say 20 men. So that's like 3 out of 20 is going to have prostate cancer.
100%. And our counterparts are about 1 in 8. So prostate cancer, I mean, it's not just an African American obvious issue. It is an issue for men as a whole. So with that said, it just seemed to be more aggressive in Black men
Okay.
because it's saying that 37% of cancer cases in Black men will be prostate cancer. So, with these numbers that do not lie, and like I said, like I tell people, I'm not a medical doctor. I just play one on TV. but, but my situation made me research, go out and find out information, and find out more than I ever wanted to know about this subject matter. Um, but 68 is a 68% increased rate for Black men if a relative has prostate
That's
cancer.
2/3.
Absolutely. Most specifically, if it's the brother. Okay. So you're talking
Oh,
about something that is a real matter, a real issue in our community. And but the kicker of all of that, I told you about the 1 in 6, the 1 in 8, the 37%, all of these numbers. But 95%, okay, there is a 95% chance of survival
oh, yes, yes, yes.
if you get screened early.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There lies the issue. There lies the issue. I hear they say 40 years old is, I was someone saying about what age should you start screening. It
Mhm.
suggests 40. However, it also says that Black men, in comparison to their counterparts, may potentially need to get screened perhaps 3 years earlier than what is suggested, especially being that we know, is no question about it, that if it's in a genetic trait, if it's in the family, especially if a brother has it or if the father has it, then you might even want to go a little bit sooner to get that screening.
Mm-hmm.
And the scary part about it is just that I find that we're so deliberate and we're so decisive about so many other things in our lives. But when it comes to the medical issues or our health, we don't put that as a priority. And it should be a priority. And
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Kidd, you know, and I know if you were going to go and buy a car, or if you were going to go and buy a house, or even a new TV, you would do all the research, you know.
Yes, I will.
You
Yes,
would
I
do all
will.
the research. You would make sure it's going to be the best TV, or it's going to be the best house, and it has the right yard, or whatever the case may be. We do all of these details. We Google everything to make sure we're getting the best bargain. However, we're not doing the same thing when it comes to our health. And when you go into that doctor's office, you need to go in asking questions.
So let me ask you this: a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
We talk about this high percentage for our Black men. That's one
Mhm.
thing, and the other issue here is that is there something about us as Black people why our counterparts are more likely to go and get tested? What is it about us that make us not want to go or less likely to go and do that?
You know, there are a couple of things. Of course, nothing necessarily proven.
Okay.
However, socioeconomics definitely play a role in
Okay.
that. Sometimes finances, for sure, will prevent a person from being able to go and get a screening. However, there are, with research again, just checking around, there are a lot of community hospitals, clinics that do provide the PSA screening. And the other thing, even before I get into that, I think that there is a huge, um, just a misstatement or misconception about the test itself. When you go to get a PSA test, which is prostate specific antigen blood test, the only thing you're getting is a blood test. I think there is a misconception that if you're going to get a prostate examination, that it is going to be a DRE, digital rectal exam. And unfortunately, in our community, sometimes that mindset of that hypermasculinity, or I'm going to be unmanned, but the initial, the initial screening,
Unmanned. Oh,
unmanned. I'm just saying, but and sadly, crazy but true, because I've heard people say that. And the thing is, the only thing you're doing in that initial examination is a blood test. That's it.
that's
You
it.
go in, that's it. You go in and get your blood test, you get your PSA levels checked to make sure that you are okay. If it's normal, you go on about your life. Every 2 years, you go in and get your, examination, your physical exam or what have you. Ask your doctor, say, hey, I would like to get my PSA checked. So that way they can make sure that your levels are normal.
Mm.
And that's the test. And it's sad that people won't even get the screening. And oftentimes they wait too late. Mine did. And that's what ends up happening if we wait too late. Like I said, 96% survival, possibility of survival of this cancer. Yet we're losing so many people because people are not going to the doctor soon enough. And they're not going to get a simple blood test, just a simple screening, just to make sure that you are okay. Now, of course, if the levels are a certain number, then they may need to bring you back in for other examinations. You may have to get an MRI, or you may have to get the DRE, the digital, rectal exam, because you may have it and they want to make sure they're treating you and giving you the right course of treatment. But if
Mhm.
you never go to get the screening, and I mean, honestly, when I think, especially when it comes to men and women, Dr. Kidd, women as a whole, especially, we start at a very pretty young age where you have to, as a woman, you have to get a GYN, a gynecologist. And I think because we start that at an early age, and we are we have become accustomed to that, I guess, that invasive procedure. that we're more likely to go to the doctor. So women will go and get their pap smear or what have you on a yearly basis or whatever the needs to be, or your mammogram. And I think that women as a whole just have that type of relationship with their doctors, like because of that invasive procedures that start
Mhm.
at a very early age for
Mhm.
women. That's not the same with men. And I think that's what the deterrent is as far as them going to the doctor. And then just trust factors as a whole, with the community and with the doctor, and making sure that they trust him to give the best possible care.
Woo, facts. Tracy Williams. Yes, facts. Facts.
I mean, and I mean,
Oh, thank
that's,
you, Jesus. So
I just,
you don't have to touch
I just,
the back. Oh, see there now? See what you started? The back door.
and that's the truth. Because if you think that in order to get a prostate screening,
Yeah,
that is going to be that invasive, I would might be a little reluctant to go too. But this initial screening, it's a blood test. It's just to make sure that your levels are normal and that you do not need to seek further care. But you got to make that first step and
right.
get that screening done. And I laugh sometime, when I'm up in the morning getting ready, for work, and you see all of these commercials and about ED, about erectile dysfunction. And go here, go there, you can get this fixed. Go right ahead. We're going to take care of it. And I'm sitting there looking like you have all these commercials for ED, but we need to have the same amount of
Yeah,
commercials and
yeah,
intensity
yeah.
about getting a screening for
Absolutely,
prostate cancer before we even get to the
absolutely,
ED.
absolutely.
Because
So
oftentimes they are associated. I do apologize.
no, 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 no. You
Mhm,
good. No, no, no. So I was just wanting to know that if we can talk about erectile dysfunction, okay,
mhm,
what is it about the cancer though? Because it's almost like cancer across the board is
mhm.
this thing that nobody really wants to talk about. This
Right,
cancer, we're talking more about diabetes. We'll talk
right.
about
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Toothache, my eyes. I don't mind, but cancer. Is there something about this that socially there is this stigma? Not as a stigma, not about the disease,
Right.
but about the person.
I just think that it is a lot of it is pride based as well. I
Okay.
mean, I look at my fiance, and I hope his family is watching too, and they know, and they can attest to it. He was defiantly private about his health
Mm,
until his last breath. And that's not even a question. He left me out of most of it. I did not know he had stage 4 prostate cancer until, unfortunately, we lost his mother as well to cancer in
mm,
September of 2021. And I did not know that he had stage 4 until she was doing a fundraiser, and it said, and my nephew who has stage 4 cancer. Mind you, I'm a year into this relationship at this point. And I was like, say what? I'm not kidding. So that is just to let you know.
he didn't tell you?
We went a long time, a very, very long time without me knowing anything. I knew he wasn't well. I just didn't know exactly what, because he would never specifically communicate to me what it was.
And he knew.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Oh my, I'm having some problems. Is this my kidneys, or is this, is that? Never. And he went to his grave and he never said to me, I have stage 4 prostate cancer. Those words were never said.
Never said. Okay,
Never
so
said. And that haunted me. That when you talk about mental health and wellness, that haunted me. I would ask to go to doctor's appointments sometimes, and he'd be like, "No." That's just how he was. No, I'm good. I like to kind of just go. I just need to kind of get in the zone and, be by myself. This gives me my moment to kind of decompress. I'm being respectful. Okay, I won't go. And never said to me, this is what I have, and this is what we're dealing with. Never said those words.
wow, Nicole Ellison, what kind of cancer did the mom have?
I am not 100% sure. I don't want to be remiss and give the wrong misinformation.
Mm,
But we lost her, like I said, in September. Their family, unfortunately, has been riddled with death from cancer, and it's very unfortunate. And like I said, of course, sometimes it can be genetic, they say. And so they've had a lot, unfortunately, quite a bit of loss, with cancer. And I'm sure his sister doesn't mind me saying it because she's been public about it. She was diagnosed, one of his sisters, with breast cancer last year. And
mm,
thank God she is doing amazing. She is has done her chemo, and she's doing great, and she is on the mend. So we are just so thankful that she is doing okay. So we're very happy about that. So just want to keep her in prayer, because when I was told that we had lost him, and then I got the phone call that she had it, I said, I can't do this. I was like, I can't handle another person. And I just can't handle it. So, like I said, that's when you start looking into your mental, because you're dealing with so much death. So that was very difficult.
yeah, prostate cancer and breast cancer has a genetic link. This is
Wow.
Nicole.
Wow. Thank you, Nicole. Like I said, when they talk about, like I said, when anybody in your family, I guess it's why when you do go to the doctor, oftentimes they will obviously ask your medical health. They'll ask if anybody has cancer. Was it your grandmother, great grandmother? You will get those questions, because obviously there can be a genetic link. And of course, I guess they might need to do some type of testing for that as well. But I do know, like I said, with the prostate issue, if your brother has it, the probability of another brother getting it is definitely higher. But like I said, again, prevention. Just get the test, get the screening, take the blood test, just to try to avoid that situation. Most of the screening is complete. Yes, the initial screening is a PSA. Like I said, it's called a prostate specific antigen blood test. And when I mean, obviously, if you showed up and you had a whole lot of symptoms, if you were having urine in the blood or semen, if you were having severe pain, like in your pelvic, back, hip area, erectile dysfunction. Those could be some signs that that person may have, and it may have been an advanced stage. And therefore, the next step, of course, is creating a plan with your doctor, because they may need to go ahead at that point and give you a referral for a urologist at that point, if you go in
Mm,
with those type of symptoms. But unfortunately, some people aren't symptomatic at all. That is why it's so important that that initial test is taken to see where the levels are.
right. I'm because of the kind of work that I do. I'm just very concerned about about the kind of a stigma component here. It's like people will say, "Hey, I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to be so and so's pregnant. All this kind of stuff. That's good." But when it comes to something that impacts me deep on the inside, I don't think that I think that some people might have an issue making, and I want you to speak to this,
Mm-hmm.
making a distinction between I have cancer
Mm-hmm.
and I am cancer.
Mm. Mm.
You understand?
Ooh. Whew. Dr. Kid, there you go again. Throw it. Listen, all I can say is this: we as a culture have to move past these stigmas. We live in some uncertain political times.
Oh,
um, we live, just being honest, with laws that are being made and created and passed that do not necessarily support our agenda. With that said, the one thing that we can take care of, that we have some control over, is our health and our
mm,
bodies.
right.
The way we will put out a message on social media about something really funny and sometimes things that are not so bad or that are bad, we also need to put out messages about doctors, that with great records and excellent bedside manner, so that we can send our people to see these people so that we can get the help we need. So, with that said, as far as the stigma is we have to do better about taking care of ourselves and our community and our health, because the one thing that we can control is making certain that we've taken steps to preserve ourselves. I want to
Right.
live a long time. I got a lot of plans. So, uh, calling being cancer, you got to step out of that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You got to step out of that mindset and out of that negative space. And you need to find yourself in a better place, or they need to be calling you for sure and laying on the couch, because they're going to need to have uh we're gonna need. Listen, one of the things that somebody mentioned to me when I was getting my own therapy, and they said, learn to discipline your thoughts. Learn to discipline your thoughts. I will never forget that statement for as
Explain,
long.
please. Explain.
Well, just the fact that with your thoughts, sometimes, like I said, with everything me telling you about Terry, not telling me really about how he was feeling and not knowing everything until the last minute, I had a million questions when he passed, right? And it was tearing me up because I had all of these questions that I wanted to ask that I knew I would never get the answer to, because at this point he has passed. How am I going to get the answer to these? So I was dwelling on that, dwelling on the past, dwelling on the past every day. Oh my God, what about this? Oh my God, I didn't catch that clue when he said this. Just going over my mind a million things and dwelling, like I said, on these thoughts of things that I had no control over. So it's like you got to learn how to discipline your thoughts. You got to live in the present, the today. And I woke up, he passed August, like I said, 2022. I woke up January 1st of 2023, went in to get a shower. I cried for, I know, 3 hours. I cried. And I'm not the person who really does all the crying. As they say, it takes a lot for me to cry. And I cried for 3 hours. And what I learned also is that crying is healing. Crying is healing. I needed to eat those. Once you release those endorphins, that helps to relieve pain, emotional and physical. And I cried and cried and cried. And when I got out, I said, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to keep dwelling on things that I do not have control over. I can only control today. And that's what I'm going to do. And so from that point on, every day is the gift. And I try to live it to the fullest every day, because he would have wanted me to,
Oh,
even though he didn't tell me everything. This is a man who celebrated the entire month of October for his birthday. He called it Oktoberfest. So, with that said, I had to take some things that I learned from him too. And I'm like, I have to, attribute it to my life and making sure that I am not living. I can't keep living in the past. I got to control those thoughts and discipline my thoughts, because you can eat yourself up if you let those thoughts get away from you. And that's
mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Give me 1 second here.
Yes, sir. Somebody said, are these screenings? Yes, most insurance um, will cover those screenings. And like I said, I do know that there are clinics. Like I said, you just may have to do a little bit research. I also know there's a group, especially if someone, God forbid, if they go in and they find out that they did have it, which will be, of course, very unfortunate. But again, you can, of course, you can survive it if caught early enough. There is a group called, and I want to make sure I have it correct. It is called
Um,
zerocancer.org, zerocancer.org. And I know that they have some things on their website to help people financially.
okay. Hold for me one
Yes, sir.
moment, please.
Yes, sir.
I'm having a problem with the air. The people are at the door, so I'm going to ask Mikey if you'd put something on there for me, please, while I go answer the door because my wife is not here, and I got to let him in because we're burning up inside of here. So I'll be right back. Okay? Don't go
Dr.
nowhere
Kit,
now.
I love you. I love you so. Okay, women, when we schedule our yearly mammogram, hand them in your life. Yes, thank you, Diana. That is such a wonderful suggestion. I know that's a crazy date, but it's a good one. Let's go get a mammogram and let's get that PSA test all at the same time. And then we'll go to dinner when we finish. How about that? Or lunch. Thank you so much for that question. And like I said, even and when you mentioned that, it's so important too. And thank you for that suggestion, is that when you go to your doctor's appointments, take somebody with you. Sometimes you just have to have somebody there who's going to ask the right questions. It's okay to have an advocate. Just making sure you have somebody that you trust enough to go to the doctor with you. There is no shame in that whatsoever. And people say they love you and they appreciate you and they're your friend and they're your ride or die. Hey, you know what? I need you to go to the doctor with me because I'm a little nervous about this situation. And I just need you there to be present in order to help me through this process and ask some questions that I might forget to ask. And I think that was one of the biggest things that, especially Terry, my late fiance, let me go maybe once or twice to something, but it wasn't like the main appointments because I wanted to ask questions. I had tons of questions that I wanted to ask. And I wasn't able to do so because, like I said, oftentimes, especially as he got sicker, he did not want me to be there. And I get it. I understand it 100%. But again, I just wish that I had asked more questions. But, like I said, sometimes, God puts you in place for a variety of reasons. You don't necessarily always know what it is. But I am thankful for the service that I was able to give. Honestly, I thank you for that question, 65240. I am my own awareness. I have um, I'm a content creator and I do something on Tuesdays called Teachable Tuesday. And every Tuesday, I just drop tidbits about different things going on. And this past week, one of the things I talked about was prostate cancer screening. I mentioned to everybody, hey, we are 6 months into this year. And if you did not go and have a prostate exam the first 6 months, then you need to make sure that you do it the last 6 months. It is my intention to definitely grow the crusade to make sure that my brothers are getting their exams by reaching out to some of the local D9 organizations, especially with some of the organizations having their large platforms as far as their national conventions and regional conventions. I am hopeful that at these conventions that there is someone there who is at least giving out literature or making strong suggestions about PSA screening or even having it on site. So that is my intentions moving forward, to make sure that that is something that is available. And like I said, I know these organizations definitely do so much for the community, so many different things for the community. And I know that, sororities have have had vans and buses with mammograms, riding around, making sure people are able to get mammograms. But I definitely think there needs to be a crusade to have prostate screening, the blood, like I said, the blood test available to the masses, because people can be saved. They just need enough time, to make sure they had an opportunity to be healed and not go further and then not metastasize. So, that's what we want. But we do have to pay attention to our bodies. Men have to pay attention to their bodies. Women, we have to pay attention to our bodies. Some of us work and we pay all this money for insurance, and yet we don't go and we don't use it. So it's so important that we take advantage of those opportunities. And if you're feeling a certain way, gentlemen, frequent urination, all through the night, etc. Like I said, urine in your semen, or blood in your semen or in your urine. Those are things that you need to be mindful of, and don't just shrug it off as though, maybe I ate something wrong or I worked out too hard or whatever. No, you need to make sure that you go and get that checked out for certain. And like I said, ED, back pain, difficulty urinating, not just urinating, but difficulty. We need to make sure that we're going to get those things checked out.
Ooh, wonderful, wonderful.
Oh,
wonderful.
So Tracy asked, "You're so funny. He's working on his air conditioner. I didn't know I was going to take over."
Listen. With you, it is so. I say, man, she could just take this show and just do it all by herself.
I got you, Kid and Kecia. We got this. This is good. What are some techniques to ease anxiety when making and attending these type of appointments? That's a good question. For me, it's all about mindset. I just try to get up in the morning, and that's every day, with the right mindset. Even if I'm going in to have my whatever exam, I am a person who no one has fun going to the OBGYN per se to get an annual or to get a mammogram. It is just not the most entertaining thing. However, I just always try to go in. Of course, one, I'm going to always be quoting the scripture. That's number one. Got to pray on the way. Got to pray on the way. Got to pray on the way. And then I'm just going to go with the right mindset. I'm going in with no weapon formed against me. I know I'm going to come out of this office with a clean bill of health. It is so. So that's my, for me, that's what I go to. And different people may go to different things. It may be yoga. It may be meditation, whatever works for you to prepare you. But like I said, if you're going in for a screening for a blood test, I am that one who squirms all over the place. I literally just had my annual last week, and they had to take some blood. And I was like, please find the baby needle. I said, because I don't do well with those. And so they started, I knew what my veins would do. And I just stayed focused and centered. She went to the left arm. She started beating and nothing. And they squeezing tight. I was like, oh God. So then they went to the right, and it was a little bit more, cooperative. However, just staying centered, staying focused, and walking there with the right mindset of, I know I'm going to leave here and I'm going to be okay.
Thank you so much. Listen, thank you so much, Kecia. We're going to come to that question. Hold that question up right there. Listen, I really had to go because our air conditioner went out a few days ago, and we're talking about 90-degree plus in this house.
Yes.
So what they did is still out, but they brought a freestanding one for us that we can use over the next couple of days. So I just want to thank you for doing what you do so well, and I'm thanking the audience for just just bearing with me while I'm just running in and out. But my Kecia is so good. Thank you.
Listen, Dr. Kit, no AC in Alabama in the summertime is an emergency.
It is. It is an emergency. But you know what though? My wife is a nurse, and she's telling me that you got to stay hydrated.
Yes. Because
not to do that, if you stay in the heat, it could impact your blood pressure.
Indeed. So we don't want that.
We don't want that because if we do, I'm not gonna be able to have Kecia come on back on. See, I did say
anytime, please. I'm telling you, let me know. I'm available.
listen, there was a question up there. You
I'm
know,
sorry.
Keisha, I wonder if they could put it back
Oh,
up.
there we
Okay,
go.
there we go. Go ahead, Keisha. Take that.
Oh, it
Take that.
says, oh, thank you, Nicole. It said also as a suggestion at the family cookout or a family dinner, start talking to your family about your family health history. Listen, spot on. I saw a book the other day and it was like questions to ask my mother before she, you know, goes on to the beautiful life beyond, and just finding out all these questions like what was her favorite food and what was it like growing up in the house and stuff like that. We need a little book like that that also talks about health in your family,
Okay.
because oftentimes when you go to the doctor and they start asking you those questions about has anyone had this or that, a lot of times you just don't know. Oftentimes we have single family households or what have you. Somebody may not even be familiar with the other side of the family or if that trait even exists. So
Mm,
that is an excellent idea, to talk about that at cookouts, at the family reunion. Okay, have all of our men here, you know what I mean, been tested or screened for an infectious for prostate cancer? That's so important. That is spot on, and we definitely need to do more about that as a family and having these conversations. And I'm sure at this point now, like I said, I'm single and trying, to test the water for dating. And I will tell you this, and I'm sure it's weird for guys when they meet me because I'm like, oh, how are you? Nice to meet you. Blah 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 blah. By the way, have you been to? Yeah, I'm
Keisha, you go.
Yes, I do. And
You
I
go.
know, Dr. Kid, that may
Okay.
not be the best first question on the date, but I need to know. And I mean, and maybe I have a little PTSD, just from what I experienced. But I am real serious about asking people about their health when we meet, because that is very important to me. As a they're like, why do you still wear your ring or what have you? I'm like, this is a reminder, for me to make sure that I take care of myself and make sure that whoever I'm dealing with, you got to take care of yourself too, so that we can live long lives. So
Right.
it might be odd, but I'm asking.
Yeah. And I'm glad. Oh, the questions that. Oh, Keisha, you're tearing up the line tonight. Go ahead, take that away, will you?
Oh
Go
my
ahead.
Lord.
Go ahead and do that.
It says, remember, as we age, so do our parents. Talk to your parents now while their memory is still sharp. Amen. And thank you, Mrs. Daniels. That is the gospel truth, because I can tell you sometimes I am not my mother's age and I will be. What did I eat for dinner last night? Because I can't remember.
Oh,
So
oh.
I'll forget. You know what I mean? That fog kicks in. You're doing a million different things, and sometimes you're just like, oh, wait a minute, did I? So I agree. While our parents are sharp, we really do need to start asking them questions about their health and about the health of their parents and their grandparents. As far back as they can tell you, we need to know, how did so and so pass? We can't keep these secrets. We need to know what happened, because
Right.
it could save a life. It could save a life. And I was when we were just it's just scary, like I said, when you think about the numbers of Black men, but also, and they're not saying that this is necessarily attributed to it. However, it was something that came up as an explanation, how young Black boys go through puberty earlier than their counterparts,
Mm,
usually about a year to two earlier than their counterparts, which means that they are being exposed to testosterone, at an earlier age, because they went through puberty. They can now reproduce sooner. Not to say that that has anything to do with it, but it does suggest maybe why Black men may be sometimes diagnosed a little bit earlier than their
mhm,
counterparts.
mhm,
Could definitely
mhm.
have something to do with the fact that
Makes sense.
our young men go through puberty a little bit earlier as well.
Makes a lot of sense. Listen, there's this question. There's this whole piece that I want to talk about for a moment here, and I hope you don't mind because it may be a little bit personal.
No, I'm fine. Transparent.
You know, there's this thing we call symptom bearers. Now,
Mm.
your fiance was a symptom bearer. He had the cancer. He had the symptom. He was carrying that all by himself because you could not carry that part of it. But I think what happens here a lot of times is that the symptom bearer, when they go into hiding about their current situation, okay, they are robbing the symptom sharer, which would be you, okay, robbing the symptom sharer of making sense out of your life as about like, how is this impacting me? What do I need to do? How am I going to move forward with this? And I would dare say that some of that has something to do with, hey, have you had your prostate checked? If we're going to go, why? Because you don't want to go through more losses.
I do not.
Can
Um,
you talk
it,
about the symptom bearer and the symptom share for us, please?
listen, it was, I remember my brother,
Yeah.
he would ask me often when I found out about, his illness, and he just say, "How are you doing?" And I would say, "It's a lot."
Mm.
That was, and I remember him asking me again, like, "How are you?" I said, "It's a lot." And he was like, "That's all you say. You don't say more than that." I said,
Mm.
"I don't know how to explain it in any other
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
other than it's so heavy and it's a lot. And I still need to be a mom." At that time, my son was a senior in high school, so we're going through that process. I still need to be a daughter to an elderly parent. I still need to go to work and be someone's employee.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many things going on, but for having the most amazing friend group, who I call sisters. I only have brothers, but these were sisters. But for having such an amazing friend group, I was able to get through this whole thing, because there were times, and I'm being honest, where he would sometimes, and I don't think necessarily maybe intentional, but he made me feel guilty about things. So
Mm.
I'm like, oh my God. And I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I'm walking on eggshells because I see this person's health declining in front of me. I don't know what to do. I want to help you. You won't let me help you. So
Mm-hmm.
you have all of these things going on. And I also remember talking to a friend. I was just like needed to decompress one day. And they were like, I said, I know there's something more. At that point, it was early stages. So I said, I feel like it's something more. I just don't know what exactly is going on with them. And they said, do you think a guy, depending on we didn't know what it was, wants to tell you that there's something wrong? Do you think they want to have a conversation with somebody that they care about or that they're very attracted to and they want to have a relationship? Do you think they're going to be comfortable with being able to have that conversation with you? And I said, yeah, I get it. At that point, I was in and I was not backing out. My heart was in it. I was not going to, under any circumstances, not be in that relationship for as long as it was going to be. I was going to be there. But it was difficult because, again, like I said, his stubbornness. And then, of course, sometimes I know he just didn't feel good. Just didn't feel good, just felt bad physically, and you're still trying to push through because it's something I want to do or somewhere I want to go, and he's trying to do all of the things, to make this relationship work, and you're not feeling well. And so it was definitely challenging, and it definitely affected my well-being, because sometimes I didn't know how to communicate things sometimes. So I thrust myself into work, Dr. Kid, and I mean thrust.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this all the time. My son, like I mentioned earlier in the introduction, my son is a rising junior at Morehouse College. And I was selected to be the regional rep for Morehouse College on the parent council as for the states of Alabama and Georgia. I have said a million
Mm.
times, and I will continue to say it, Morehouse saved my life. Me being so concentrated on that work, especially after he passed. My son went to college on August the 12th, 2022. Terry passed on August the 30th, 2022. So
Mm.
my only child has now left the house and is gone. And my fiance is gone. One of the most challenging experience of my entire life.
Right. Listen, and I really do thank you for tapping into that part of your emotions that would allow you to do that. But let me back up here a little bit, because this is something I've heard this from the annals of some stuff I've heard, that some people, when it comes to cancer, because it is such an unknown
Mm-hmm.
time frame, we just don't know how long we have. So they go into themselves and they start their own grieving process.
Mm.
And when they start their own grieving process, they don't want to let anyone in. And here's what happens. Here's what happens. They are grieving, but a part of the fear is this: that if they tell somebody, somebody will leave them and they'll have to grieve alone.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't tell,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to be alone when they're
Mm-hmm.
doing that. But they are grieving. But then it stops the person who they don't tell from going through their own grieving process, which starts so abruptly for you as soon as it happens.
Yeah.
So now you didn't get to go through
Yes.
closure with this person.
And that is where the wellness, that is where you pick up the phone like I did and you get a therapist.
Yes.
Because I was like, when I talked about controlling, learning to discipline your thoughts,
Mm-mm.
I had a million questions. I had so many questions that I
Yeah,
did not get answered.
yeah,
And having that many questions in my mind that I could not answer or have get answered was suffocating. It was suffocating. I felt like I couldn't breathe.
right.
I wake up and I felt literally like I couldn't breathe. And that is when I was like, you must speak to someone who will help to assist you through this process, because there are so many layers of grief, honestly, that I was dealing
Mm-hmm.
with.
Mm-hmm.
Child's gone, that's a whole kind of grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's your only child, and
Mm-hmm.
then your fiance is as well. And like I said, because of his defiance, with being so private, we didn't have that final conversation. You know what I
Right,
mean? We
right.
never, we never had that conversation.
Never said goodbye.
So, pardon me?
Never said goodbye.
Other than when I said goodbye, like I said, I don't know if he heard me. I felt like he did. I don't know, but never having that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So that is haunting.
Mm-hmm.
And and you're living with it and you're trying to deal with it. Like, I didn't get to say, that's why I tell people now, and I'm such an advocate of, tell people you love them, call them on the phone, send them a message, live life, take the trip, buy the shoes, go on the cruise, because thank you so much. Because you just don't know. And you don't want these unanswered questions that you
Right.
will never get the opportunity to have them answered. So you have to learn how to navigate knowing that it won't necessarily be answered, but I feel like the answer for me has been through advocacy, me taking that pain and trying to turn it into something amazing. Taking that pain and saying, you can do better and you can help this person. And how can you help this group? So I took it that way. So regardless of everything that occurred, I still feel like I learned to be the best version of me through that process, because it is, people get married, and you and your beautiful wife, and people haven't had to experience what I've experienced, and I
Mhm.
didn't even get married.
Right.
I didn't get down the aisle. And when they talk about for better and for worse, and sickness and in health, you really don't know what that is until you sincerely go through that. So I went through that part of the vows, without even being the wife. So
Mm.
I feel like,
Yes,
yeah, I
absolutely.
feel like I learned so much, and I feel like it has postured me to be a wife, because I will be. And it's postured me and prepared me for that, because I learned what sacrifice and selflessness and all of those things are through this process. So when I wrote in his obit, I talked about thank you for loving service, and that you gave me the opportunity through all of this to learn how to serve even better, learn how to give even better, to be more compassionate, all of these things, sympathetic. I learned a whole lot. So, uh, if anybody said I'm selfish, they are lying.
Um, let me just say this. Hold that up there for me. Hold that up there for me. Let me just say this, that you are an amazing woman in that you could go through all of those things, the whole cadre of feelings and emotions that you went through, and to be able to hold it together after a while. Yeah, a while. The Bible says weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. What the Bible does not say is how long your night is going to be. You understand what I'm saying?
Amen.
It does not say how long your night is going to be. And what it is to have sleepless night. It's like the longest night of your life is when you can't sleep, the clock doesn't move. But that kind of nighttime, you,
That's a
you
lot.
know, it is so hard to deal with. And real quick, keep that up there. What somebody told me that they did, because they, similar to yours, they were so angry that the person didn't tell them. They turned all their pictures down.
Mm,
They
wow.
didn't want to see them. They were so angry.
Right.
All their pictures. When they were talking to me, they were gonna break all the pictures, burn all the pictures. I said no.
Oh.
So once you just turn them down for a while, and they were so happy because after they came through that, they were
Mm.
able to reattach.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Like I
Like,
said, it's a lot. I mean, like I said, whenever my brother, and after all of those things,
yeah.
this January, my brother, who is my best friend, we had a scare with him with
Oh,
prostate.
yeah.
And his prostate was enlarged, and we were having difficulty, and he had to have a biopsy, but God's grace, he
Hey,
is okay.
hey.
And that, again, learning how to deal with that, because that was triggering. I'm like, I've just went through this with someone I love, and now my best friend in the world, my first best friend, we're talking about he may potentially have prostate cancer. My brother, I was like, oh no, Lord, we're not doing this. we had to have a stern conversation. I said, Father God, we cannot do this. We cannot do this. He is the best brother in the world. Everybody knows it. Everybody says it. He is the most amazing human. And I was like, we need him, and I need you. I need you now, Father. And I'm gonna let it go. And I didn't even worry about it another day. And he's all right. He is
Amen.
okay. He is
Amen.
okay. So, and like I said, but it's important. Somebody, it's important that You have to ask the questions, and you have to ask your family member. You cannot be afraid. I remember meeting someone shortly thereafter who was dealing with a prostate issue. And I said to him, I said, "Who have you told?" And he said, "No one." And he
Yeah.
had been dealing with it for several months. I said, and he had a daughter, only child. I said, and she was an adult. I said, "You must tell your daughter." She is a young adult. She wasn't a baby. She's a young. I said, "You must tell her." I said, "The worst thing you can do is keep this a secret. Trust me. Tell somebody." And he did have a conversation.
Right.
So one person at a time, a few people at a time, Dr. Kidd, I don't know, but I'm telling you, I ask people, I know they think this girl is crazy. I'm acting like Zora Neale Hurston back in the day when she used to measure people's heads. I'm going around saying, "Have you had a process? Have you had a
Excuse me, but I got a question to ask you.
I'm I'm just saying. And I mean, and at being at, like I said, my platform at Morehouse, I have definitely made that
Yeah.
comment, of being around that many men. They're young men, but even some of the, hey, it is very important. I lost somebody. So
Mm.
please, make an appointment. I know you got some insurance. Go ahead and get this
Yeah.
test done.
Use it up. Use it up. Listen, Nicole. This has been simply amazing. I want to keep you on here all night, but I know that I can't do that. But listen. Um, there are some other sides of this conversation we're having that I'd like for you to come back, and talk about, because there was a question there about food, and
Okay.
there is an exercise, and
Okay.
then there is, what are some of the other things, what are some of the systemic things that
Okay.
the biopsychosocial systemic issues that that we can, and here's the other thing that, you know I would love to hear that one day you are going to either have or repeat a conference on Black men and prostate cancer. Please, 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 and let me know, because I'm going to come.
Absolutely. It is on the agenda. It's on my
Oh,
vision board, actually.
oh, wonderful,
It's on my vision
wonderful.
board. It's on
Yeah,
my vision board to have a conference of, survivors, people who are going through the
yeah,
process,
yeah.
because we don't talk about it enough. It's just, we don't push it. We hear about mammogram screening. We hear that all the time. Who's talking about Black men getting a prostate exam? And I said, I'm going to get a t-shirt and it's going to say, the PSA, the public service announcement, get a PSA. The PSA, get a PSA. That is what the shirt is going to say, because we need to 100% make sure that people are getting screened. No question about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Listen, take that. You have
That's my
been.
aunt. That's my aunt Bonnie. I love
Oh,
you.
thank you, Aunt Bonnie. Thank you. Have been very strong through it all, and it's admirable that you are imparting. And I'm going to put such great wisdom to others. Thank you for being a wonderful advocate. Thank you, there, Aunt Bonnie. Listen, wonderful, wonderful. Listen, listen. You're going to come back, right?
Of course.
Yeah,
Listen,
you
I'm
must.
family now. Me and Michael, we done, the producer, we are all family. We are cousins. So you
Yeah,
better have me back.
I will. I will, and I want to hear. And I want to hear well in advance so I can clear my schedule and just come on down and just sit down and listen to all of these stories that people are going to be telling, including your story.
They need to be told. They
They
need to be
need to
told.
be. They
Like I
need.
said to you today, I said, I don't know how many people are on here. I do not care. But if one person is going to go and have a screening done, the job is done.
Yeah.
One person. That's
Yeah.
it. Early detection save lives. You cannot sit on this. You cannot wait. You have to get the screening early. If you do that, you are saving your own life. So you have to be an advocate about your life. Is that simple? You got to
Okay.
be. That's all I got.
Listen, thank you so much. Listen, I'm going to shut down this part of the show. Don't run away. Don't run
Oh,
away. We're gonna talk some more. Okay, thank you so
thank
much.
you,
And
everybody.
listen,
I appreciate it.
thank you, thank you. Listen, y'all, just remember, listen, just share this one here. Share it, because we've got to get this information out. 654-240. My wife just told me that we are making an
An
appointment.
appointment.
Oh, yes. Yes. That sounds good. That sounds good. I look forward to it. We had our household screening. Oh, okay. All right. So it's just a lot of, oh man, this has been such a wonderful show. Such a wonderful. And I thank you all for just hanging in there with us. Okay. Thank you so much. I know we went a little bit over the time, but hey, it was good stuff. And as I close out, listen, this here is this is my watchword. This here is an original quote from yours truly, and it says, "The fear of failure is the enemy of success." That is an original. You can get it on the T-shirt. If you don't know what the fear, what this means, you know, I do talk about it from here and there, from places to places. The fear of failure, and how the fear of failure. Just because you don't want to fail, you stop trying, and that's when you fail. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. Okay, so you can go to the Shake Up. You got a 37% off, limited time only. We don't know how long we're going to keep it off. Keep it at 37% off. Go to the website. Use the code ShakeUp37 for that. Okay, so please do that. And for other things, just go to my website, drkidspeaks.com. Also, drkidspeaks.com shop, and that's when you can get that, drkidspeaks.com/, and you can get that. And we're developing a whole slew of things on there that are all very positive stuff that we're talking about. Okay, that will be available to you, and they will not be cost restrictive. We will tell you that it's not about making bunch of money. It's about you wearing something that you believe in. It's a message to get a message out. Okay, so we do want to thank you. Thank you. Have yourselves a wonderful night. See you next week. God bless you. Be well. Be well.